Ports open. Do we have sound? We do, but it's doubled for some reason. All right. Okay. Now there should be no weird echo. Ho! Holy Happy Hour, Batman. I am Father Ben. There's the camera there. I'm an Episcopal priest and games enthusiast. And on this show, I am joined by heroes of the gaming and geek world to talk all about life, faith, spirituality, game design philosophy, the indie ttrpg scene, talk to game designers and more, and whatever else comes up on the show. It's sort of different week to week, and it's always a great time. Tonight, we have yet again two amazing guests. I'm really excited. We had two weeks ago, we had two guests on because we had a couple of Drakes on the show, and that was super fun. And so this week, I'm thrilled to be joined by Dinoberry Press, Dinoberry Press's own Jam and Nevyn. Nevyn was on the show a few months back, and now is going to be back on the show tonight. Will we actually talk at all about Gun and Slinger? We talked last time about how we never did. We'll see. We don't know. But we are going to talk about their new sort of partnership with Dinoberry Press, everything they're doing there with game design, layout design, consultation, project management, and more. They're doing really cool things, and I've been really excited to talk all about it, to dive deep into that, find out what specific projects they're working on, and, you know, like I said, whatever else comes up. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. We're going to get into all that, and we're going to get to know, Jam and Nevyn more in just a few minutes here. So before we get into the show tonight, I have a big and somewhat emotional and personal announcement to make to you all. Over the last several months, I decided to take some steps back from the world of tabletop RPGs. So I have been working on restructuring my life and my day-to-day ministry at my church, my time with my family, taking steps to protect my mental health. If you followed the indie TTRPG scene lately, you probably have noticed that I'm not alone in that. Many of the game design, well, maybe the church ministry part, but for the rest of it, many of the game designers that I know and respect, and many past guests on this show, Holy Happy Hour, have been experiencing burnout, talking about burnout in the industry, and taking steps to revitalize and protect their own mental health. And I have not yet made a kind of big announcement about this outside of the All Ports Open Network community, and I haven't announced it here on Holy Happy Hour really yet. I kind of talked about it 2 weeks ago, but I have left as a partner. I've left being a partner at All Ports Open and APON Games. I'm still involved with the network, and this episode is still a part of the network and out on the network right now. Delinquent Comics, my Masks Actual Play podcast that I jam and that I produce along with an amazing cast, two other awesome editors and producers, Sean and Justin. That show's going to continue, and I'm going to continue working on that show for the foreseeable future, and I'm very, very grateful to be able to, still be a part of the All Ports Open Network in that way. But I decided that among the things that I'm pulling back on myself, at least for now, is this show, Holy Happy Hour. This was a really tough decision for me, but Monday nights also happen to be a really important family night for me and for my oldest daughter. So it's really an important step, I think, for me and for my family and my mental health. I do apologize for being a little off kilter on the screen as I'm saying this. It's because, well, it doesn't matter why. Just blame OBS. But Holy Happy Hour, Batman, this show has meant the world to me for the last year and a half. From the first episode with guest Alex Roberts to this last episode with Dinoberry Press, to all the amazing interviews and in between, the guests I've been very privileged to talk with, some of my own TTRPG heroes that have been on the show. I have so many highlights that I think that I'm afraid that naming any of them would take away from them all, because honestly, each episode of the show has been special in its own way and just really, really cool. So I just wanted to say, thank you to everyone who supported the show, who's watched, subscribed, followed, shared the show. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all of you and to all the guests. I don't think Holy Happy Hour is over after tonight, but it is on a perpetual hiatus until further notice, until I can decide what is best for me and what will be next with Holy Happy Hour, Batman. So I want to also say huge thanks to Joshua Wise for supporting this show the last year and a half, and for building the All Ports Open Network from the ground up, and for hosting all of these episodes on the website and everywhere else. I deeply appreciate Josh's partnership when I was a partner at the network, his hard work on the network, and I hope that all of you out there will continue to support the All Ports Open Network and APON Games going forward. There's so many cool things happening with the network and APON Games, from really cool monthly Patreon content to game releases to new Weeping Cedars horror audio drama stuff. So definitely don't sleep on it, seriously. couple other quick announcements I want to make. I didn't put this in my notes, but I thought better of it just now, which is my game, Broken, a tragic romance game, is still on track. We are really close to October. We plan to release the game in the month of October. I don't know exactly when. It's very close to being finished. We have all of our safety design work has come back. Our edits have come back from our editor. We are now in sort of final layout for that game. I'm excited to get you all the the digital version, the ebook version of the game when the layouts are finished and it's finalized, and get it out to you. Our scenario writers are working hard to produce those scenarios, and we're going to put all that together soon. So if you are someone who backed if you're someone who backed Broken when it was itch funding, thank you, and I hope you look forward to getting that final version of the game. If you were to go to the APON Games itch store right now, you could buy the game for $20. Get that digital ashcan edition now, and when the final version drops, get that also. So that's the other piece of housekeeping that I wanted to mention here at the top of the show. So it is happy hour, and so now that I've done all that heavy stuff, I can talk about this wonderful cocktail that's up on the screen. This is inspired by Dinoberry Press and named in part after jam, and it has actual jam, like the food, in it. This is a drink I'm calling Dinoberry Jam and Gin. It is, so the picture is a martini glass, which is a little bit of a goof up on my part. There's two ways you can serve this drink. I'm going to smooth that goof up over and say there's two ways you can serve this drink. You probably want to serve it in a mason jar because it's going to be a decent amount of liquid otherwise. So it's 3 ounces of gin, an ounce of strawberry jam or preserves, and an ounce of blueberry jam or preserves. You could substitute those if you don't like, if you're some sort of monster who doesn't like strawberry and blueberry, and you want to use something like fig jam. Fig jam is good. That would work really well. I don't know what other... apricot jam. I don't know what else you would use. But strawberry, blueberry jam or preserves, an ounce of lemon juice, and basically you're going to combine all those ingredients in a cocktail shaker with ice, shake that thing vigorously so it gets really nice and chilled, and then it says strain into a martini glass on the screen, I know, but instead you should strain it into a mason jar filled with ice because it's just going to be too much liquid, I think, if you do it the other way. You could alternatively strain as much of it as you can into like a coupe glass or a martini glass and serve it up. I think the mason jar is a much more fun way to go. It's much more fitting for the idea of jam, and I think that's the best way to go. The recipe card is going to be on twitter.com in 1 minute on my Twitter profile. You can catch that there, and that actually has the corrected mason jar-ness to it. But yeah, remember, if you make this cocktail and you give it a try, don't forget to let me know somehow. Tag me, shoot me a DM, I don't know, whatever. Let me know you tried it. Let me know what you thought of it. This one's super good. Like, seriously, it's like a delicious... I use thyme as a garnish, and it really like accentuates the flavor of like the berries with the gin, and in a way that's really cool and really aromatic. The lemon kind of juice kind of does that too. Fresh lemon juice, of course. Use fresh squeezed lemon juice. Yeah, so that's the Dinoberry Jam and Gin. I really am proud of this one as my final cocktail here before we go on hiatus with the show, and I hope you all give it a try. So, all right, without further ado, let's go ahead and try to bring our guests on with hopefully no technical glitches whatsoever. So here we are. Nevyn and Jam, welcome to Holy Happy Hour. Nevyn, welcome back to Holy Happy Hour.
Hello. Hi. We're here.
You're here in my internet space. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I've been off for a week.
Cyberspace.
Yes, exactly. It's been 2 weeks since I did the show, and I forgot how to do it already.
I'm fully familiar with what that's like. More familiar than I would like to admit. We went on vacation recently, and I walked back into my day job and didn't know what direction up was.
Yeah.
It was very real.
I'm about to be gone for 2 Sundays from church, and I feel like when I get back, I'm going to be so lost. What is the Bible? I don't know.
Just going to completely forget what Scripture is.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of really corny, dumb jokes that can be made there, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Jam, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hello. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, definitely. I'm really excited to talk all about Dinoberry Press. I really excited what you all are doing with it. So I guess that's a good place to start. Like, why don't you tell folks who are watching what is Dinoberry Press, and then we can kind of dig into the weeds of like what cool things you all are doing with it. Because I think it's a really cool kind of I don't know what language you use, like the approach or like way to kind of niche yourselves in the indie TTRPG scene.
Yeah. I guess I'll take this one.
Go for it.
So the two of us have been working on projects for forever, not just with like TTRPG stuff, but I had a YouTube channel and Jam was very heavily involved with that. I had a website and Jam was very involved in that. I've also helped Jam out with a lot of her own art stuff and processes along the way.
A lot of graphic design here and there.
And we kind of got to a point where we were working on each other's projects so much with TTRPGs, and we're married and stuff, that we were like, we should just make this a business thing. We should approach this.
Let's just marry in business too.
Yeah, exactly. And so we spent a long time thinking about, okay, how do we want to approach this? What kind of stuff do we want to offer? How do we want to present? And importantly, what do we want to be called? Jam already had a very good idea with Dinoberry Press being the name. I think it's cute, and I think it's very evocative of the kind of stuff that we do. Like weird, experimental.
Look, I like fruit and I like dinosaurs, so...
It's a match made in heaven.
Do you like gin?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right. Well,
I'm really excited to try that drink.
If you do, let me know. It is good. I would definitely... Anyway, sorry. I didn't mean to derail your explanation.
We have some homemade jalapeno blueberry jam, and I'm excited to try it.
That'll be really good in that drink, actually.
Oh my gosh.
Get some gin.
I just gotta go get gin and strawberry jam.
You could...
I don't know.
You could try it. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Just your jalapeno blueberry.
We could do it. That'd be really good. We're gonna have to do it. But yeah, so we just decided, okay, it is time to do the damn thing, and we did the damn thing, and now we exist as Dinoberry Press. It was a lot of thinking and brainstorming and researching and asking people who know more about stuff than we do.
The website was rebuilt like 3 times.
Yeah, it was difficult, but we got it, and it's good.
Hey.
It is good. Well, it is good. I think the website is actually just one of the things that is so striking. Like when you go to look at, so folks should go to dinoberrypress.com. I'll just link it in the chat, and it'll be in the show notes, because it is a really gorgeous website. And like when you go to it, I just think it is instantly evocative, right? Of like, it kind of gives you an instant impression about what you can kind of expect from your work. So you can kind of tell you guys put a lot of thought and effort into it.
Yeah. Jam knocked it out the park. The website was mostly Jam. I did a lot of words.
Thank you.
She did like almost all of the no, not almost. She did all of the making
building.
it look good. I wrote words because I'm good at that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks awesome. So, yeah, that's really cool. But you're doing more than just game design, right? So, do you want to talk about like your kind of approach to what Dinoberry Press is doing?
Yeah. Both of us we're not just very good game designers and artists. We both have things that we are uniquely good at. It's one of the reasons that I think we work so well together is we both bring like a half of the total of what's needed to the table, basically. And we both have different approaches to things. So we've always known that we want to offer services and do more things for other people in the space. So we've, essentially got like our freelance stylings listed on the website. It's like Jam will do freelance layout and art consultations and graphic design, and we both do like freelance game design. I offer consulting and project management, and it really is just like, there are people do this in the space. We're not unique in the fact that we do this. But I think that we're unique in the fact that it is 2 of us doing this together. You get 2 for the price of 1, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how would that work exactly? Yeah, well, you kind of just said, but someone wanted to hire Dinoberry Press for project management. Is it how would that how would you approach that?
Um,
It would, I mean, so we would have a conversation with the client and figure out, all right, what are you looking for? Do you need something more mechanical? That would head over to Nevyn. If you want ideas on creativity or approaches to design or making something more cohesive, it would probably go to me. And with our, with the discussions we would have, we would be talking at the same time. And like we're always we're approaching these things together, even if how do I say, both of our voices aren't like on the email.
yeah. We're constantly bouncing things off of each other on like any of the projects that we're working on. To use project management specifically, we would ask like, what degree of project management are you looking for? What's your budget? And that all leads into the conversations like Jam was saying, because you might reach out to us for project management, but after talking to you, we might figure out like that's not what you actually need based on what you're talking about. We'll do it. We can help out with that sort of thing. But a part of project management is figuring out what your actual needs are and helping you get towards those.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, obviously there are lots of people in the indie scene who are, who do offer consultation, who offer the kind of freelance work you're talking about, illustration, layout design, project management, whatever, game design. But to kind of offer it as a studio like that, specifically in the indie scene, I think, and the fact that it's the two of you together in it, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's interesting. It's like, it strikes me as different. It strikes me as carving a little bit of a niche or a new ground in that way. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see like kind of more of this, right? Which is like more small shops offering a very wide range of things like you are, but it is convenient that the two of you can offer such a wide range, and it is just the two of you, which is
We've both spent a lot of time through our lives just diving into a lot of different creative fields.
Yeah.
So we both just have a lot of experience doing things like this. And, I have a lot of experience doing project management from like not just the 3 successful Kickstarters at this point, but from my day job where that's what I do. Jam has graphic design experience and art experience.
Not also managing.
Yeah.
People too.
Yeah, and managing experience.
Yeah.
Not just from like the stuff that we do in the ttrpg space, but from stuff she's done like her entire life.
We've learned to work together. That's the biggest thing.
Yes, absolutely.
One of the things I thought was really cool that you did is like having the blog post. So specifically, I thought there's an article that you'll have from July called "Game Design on a Cozy Budget," and it's kind of
a lot of fun.
I thought that was so cool. I thought this was just such a cool offering, and when I saw that, it kind of opened my mind to like. I guess the question is, were you planning on doing a lot more stuff like this? Because it was almost like an introduction to like the kind of consulting you might get from you, but also some sort of, I don't want to call it free consulting, but do you know what I'm trying to get at? Like it's like somebody like me can read it and get a taste of consulting from this blog post.
So to answer the first question, we plan on not only doing more articles about like game design and project stuff, but we also want to go back and continue to update that article specifically.
Yeah, there's more planned that I definitely want to add to it.
There is no end to low budget or like free resources.
It's just a part of making the space more accessible, because if we close it off, it's not such a fun space anymore.
Exactly. a big thing that we had in our mind, like as we're setting up to do this, is we don't want to create an artificial barrier to people who want to get into the space. And something that I've always said, and I think I might have said it to you last time I was on here, I don't remember, is if you want to get into game design, just do it. You don't need to spend money to do it.
Yeah.
And there are a few lists like the one that we've put together of like general resources, and now we've got one that's focused on making things affordable. So if someone's like, if someone reaches out to us and is like, I don't have much money, but I would like some help with this, we can say, hey, here's your first stop. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this. Figure out what you need to do. Happy to answer any questions and stuff like that. You know, it's about, yes, we offer services professionally, and yes, we would like to be paid for them, but also, if you don't have the means to pay someone to do that stuff, here's where you can get it for yourself.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I like how to put this. It's just really cool to see that you're kind of doing both at the same time, right? Like that you're like offering this professionally, but then like simultaneously it's like values driven in the sense that like, you know, the fact that you're doing it professionally, the fact that you're therefore hiring clients and taking on clients, you're still values driven. So you're still also trying to make the space, reduce barriers, make the space accessible, make the scene accessible, because those are your values. So like leading with that kind of, and you can kind of see that when you look at the website. One thought related to that I was kind of curious about, which is, do you guys have like a personal mission statement for Dinoberry Press? Have you thought about writing one? I work in the church world and also read a lot of leadership stuff, and they're always talking about mission statements. So I usually don't ask that question on this show, but it kind of came to my mind for Dinoberry Press for whatever reason.
I don't think we have like an official one written down everywhere, but
we'll have to work on it.
We will have to work on that.
Well, this is not to pressure you by any means, but
right.
I mean, the first text that you see on our website is we make cool stuff. We make cool things inspired by the stuff we love.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty close. That's as close as we're gonna get right now.
Yeah. That's kind of why I wondered. That's kind of what made me ask, because like it almost like, again, the website just looks like it's led by values and led by a strong sense of mission. Like you don't have to have a mission statement to like know what you're all about and what you're doing. So I guess that is what comes across from it, which is really cool, especially if you're trying to like, you know, sell your work or sell what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely say that we definitely have a vibe and a set of ideals, and we definitely try to push those in everything we do.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
I'm glad that it comes across on the website.
I think it does. I really do. And so, like I said, people should definitely check it out. It's in the show notes. It's in the chat if you're watching this live. So yeah, I wanted to kind of do a little bit of, I know, Nevyn, we had you on before, so we talked a little bit of background when you were on before, but haven't got to ask Jam about, you know, her background. So I just wanted to kind of talk to you about your background, Jam. How did you I like to ask people their TTRPG origin story. So what's your TTRPG origin story? How did you get involved in, I don't know, fandom or now design? Like how did you get into the space?
Well, my very, very first introduction to D&D was by my dad.
Oh, okay.
But he's not a great DM. So
wow, just thrown right under the bus right here on the show.
I touched the game once, and then I didn't touch it for like years and years and years until high school, like late high school. I knew Nevyn at the time, and his D&D group, and watching them play, I was like, all right, I'm starting to get this. But I don't want to play with these guys. I don't want to play with the boys.
No, definitely not. I appreciate the times that those boys gave me.
The old boys.
And I wish them all the best.
Okay.
I would not play that Dungeons and Dragons again.
or any or any Dungeons and Dragons again, or that specific
No.
Dungeons and Dragons?
I have a very specific flavor of D&D that I'm going to play if I am going to play it again.
All right, well, now I have to ask you what that is. I really want to... Sorry, I feel compelled to dig into that a little bit. What, yeah.
Well, let's let Jam finish with her
Oh,
origin
I'm sorry.
story.
I'm sorry.
Then we can go back
Getting
to it.
sidetracked.
I guess it's a little related.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. We ended up trying some more D&D with other friends.
It was like after 5th edition came out and after Critical Role came out.
Yes.
Our
and then,
friends were like super into Crit Role. One of them's in the chat right now, I think.
Yeah. Starting to watch Crit Role and starting to watch like other APs and like watching other people play taught me how to play. And then we played a campaign and then I was hooked. And then we just kept playing through the years, and then we discovered indie games, and that was a whole new world.
Yeah.
Beautiful world. Haven't played D&D in a long time. And that's it. And yeah.
Yeah. Been playing a lot of...
Just went deeper and deeper into the hole.
And then I roped you into helping out with the layout for Gun and Slinger.
Yeah.
That project had a lot of crunch towards the end, and
There's a little crisis.
Jam mercifully came on board to help out. And we got it done.
Got it done.
Got it the fuck done, I would say.
It was
to use my swear.
Swear as much as you want. No, yeah, you're good. You're good. You can swear as much as you want. It's all good.
Gun and Slinger was the first time I had ever touched a ttrpg project.
Okay.
I had done layout for a magazine before.
Yeah.
It was like some indie magazine. But that was like 3 years before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got it done, and then soon later, a few people had asked me to lay out their books.
Nice.
And their games, and it just went from there.
Yeah.
I have
Here we
a
are.
layout geek kind of question for you, because I do some layout myself, or at least I did the layout for my game Broken, started messing around. What I'm just curious, what do you use for your layouts? What's your program of choice?
I like the Affinity suite, the whole... Yeah, once Adobe went subscription mode,
Yeah.
I had that.
I see. I do use InDesign, but I do also have access to it and to the rest of the Adobe suite. So yeah, I certainly don't blame anybody who doesn't want to buy into that very expensive, very pricey monthly suite of different tools. I mean, it's good. I mean, but it's just what I had, so that's what I learned with, honestly.
Right.
That's why I learned it.
If you can get Adobe for free,
yes, use Adobe if you can get it for free.
Then it's worth it to use it. There's a lot of resources that people have made like specifically for Adobe.
Yeah.
But if you are like an independent creator or your job or school doesn't provide the Adobe stuff for you,
right?
Get Affinity. It's a one-time payment, and it's also got some really good stuff that you can use.
Yes. And there are all kinds of free alternatives out there.
Yes, plenty of free stuff.
The hard part is just finding them and looking for them.
So check out the article at dinoberrypress.com/blog/resource list. It's a good piece written by cool people, I think.
Yes.
Also, Jam, I'm just kind of wondering, what's it like that the first TTRPG project you touched doing layout on Gun and Slinger is like an award-winning project? Is that like a weird thing to think about? Is that just something you don't think about very much?
It was wild. And just to talk about Nova, for that to be nominated for an ENnie, and it was like the second big project I had touched.
That
was wild.
Yeah.
And up against like a lot of great big books.
Yeah. Your layouts in Nova are awesome. That book looks gorgeous. I mean, it's just a gorgeous looking book. I mean, everything Spencer does ends up looking great and is great, but it is a gorgeous looking layout. Because I like layout stuff, so I'm like a little bit of a layout geek, so that's why I'm like, this is self-serving.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, very cool. That's cool. So what is the if the two of you were to play D&D again, what does that look like? What is the D&D?
Number one.
A lot of homebrew.
A lot of homebrew. Okay, so I guess that's number one. Number two, really gay. Like, just so gay. And number three, this is my deep, dark secret. I legitimately love tactical gameplay. I think it's fun. It scratches an itch in my brain.
Sure.
I am the monster.
Sure. So did you like 4th edition then because of that? Like,
hot take, 4th edition's good.
Yeah, that's my hot take on 4th edition.
4th edition's good. I like it.
I liked and played it when it came out. It was just so different from... I started playing at 3rd edition. And it's just so different from 3 and 3.5. And there was people that I play with, and still play with, that do not share that hot take on 4th edition.
It is a surprisingly hot take.
It's... it's I don't know.
I have hotter takes, but I'm not going to drop them here.
Oh darn! No, I feel like it's a hotter take than it needs to be because we are just talking about a game and one version of many versions of the game. Like
so true,
and
so true.
And it just is what it. The way I look at it, not to be too cliche, it is what it is. Like that's what 4th edition is. If you don't like it, you don't play it. If you do, but it's because of what D&D is, right? And so this does touch on the indie scene, right? It's because of what D&D represents as almost like a bigger than, right? Do you think you know what I'm saying? Like it almost like D&D is still in the space bigger than just a game. Like
it is.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons is like a monolithic cultural force,
right?
Is what it is. That happens to look like a game,
right? And
it looks like a game. It talks like a game. It quacks like a game. But it is so much more than that. Thanks to any number of things. You can't throw a stick without hitting something that is inspired by D&D at this point. I feel I've talked about this a lot. I have very big, very intense feelings about Dungeons and Dragons and its relationship to the cultural zeitgeist. I don't want to hog the air, but suffice to say, it's big.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can feel free. I mean, obviously, there's two of you to speak, but don't worry about hogging the air for me, that's for sure. I mean, I will say... So one of the things about your story, actually, Jan, that as you were talking about it, that related to what you just said, though, Nevyn, is that you mentioned crit roll, you mentioned D&D in there, and that's interesting because, like, a lot of people in the indie scene are kind of hostile to those things. Maybe I should be careful how I say it, although the show might be over after tonight, so I guess I could say whatever I want. No, but like, you know, a lot of people like I interview, like, there's of course there's the discourse on Twitter, right? There's hostility to D&D there from a lot of indie folks, I think, or at least I see it. So yeah, I know there's just like, so when you were telling your story, you mentioned like crit roll fandom coming into the story in some way and experiencing D&D through that. So I don't know it. That's not really a question. It's not really didn't formulate that into a question. But a lot of the people in the indie scene do have kind of at least in my experience, a hostility. Not to paint in broad strokes, but that there is a hostility to D&D in the scene. So I don't know if you two feel like you kind of have a different approach or what your feelings are about that. And we don't have to talk about oh my God, we're talking about the dragon game on the show for far too long, I guess. I've become the monster. I don't know.
I will just summarize for myself, at least. I think that there definitely is a lot of hostility in the space. Not necessarily towards Dungeons and Dragons itself, but to kind of what it represents. That, I think, is kind of just there, emanating everything. Critical Role is its own bag of worms that I super don't want to get into.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, trust me.
I really liked the show. I'm happy that it got two of our best friends into Dungeons and Dragons. I'm happy that it reintroduced me to ttrpgs, but there's a lot more going on there than you can summarize in a talk show.
Yeah.
And that's where I am. Yeah.
D&D is this big thing that's there and it's not going anywhere. But there's a lot wrong with it.
Yes.
It's an old dinosaur.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's impervious to change. You know,
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be a lot of hard little baby steps to get it somewhere, somewhere better. And that's the hope.
Yeah.
That's the ideal, right?
Yeah.
In the meantime, we got super kick-ass indie games made by people who get it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And we're in an indie revolution right now. I would say, like it's insane. It's insane to me, the explosion of indie games and indie designers. But like yourselves, But yeah, anyway, that's all an aside talking about the Dragon game. But it does impact the scene. I mean, it impacts. I don't know. As you said, it's like more of a. What did you say? It was a cultural
monolith.
A cultural monolith that kind of poses like a.
It's like just there. It's always there.
Yeah. And Jam, you're right. It's also not going anywhere, right? It's just there. It's going to be a part of the scene, and it is what it is. All right. Well, anyway, we can kind of shift gears off of that. Yeah. So, are you all working on designing anything right now? Is there anything like that's in the works that you want to? Be excited to talk about?
Too much.
Nothing.
We've got
we have so much.
Yeah. Let's dig into it.
Horror-based things.
We've
in the pocket.
Three horror-based. Wait.
Well, two of them are really mine.
we have a lot going on. We have a never-ending list of ideas and things showing like the current state of games. Jam, I don't know what we're ready to talk about yet. We have a sci-fi horror themed thing that's going to be crowdfunding next year.
Okay.
We have we can talk about Warriors, right?
Yeah.
You just did, so yeah.
Oh, damn it.
You said the word.
We have Warriors, which is a Lumen game.
Okay.
Inspired by Warrior Cats and Tron. The full title is Warriors, the Cats of Cyberspace.
Awesome.
You play as a clan of digital cats that were born from bits of errant code that gathered up and became sentient. And you explore, there's like a point crawl map of your system, which is like an individual computer, and you explore its nodes and interact with other clans and grow your clan over time.
It's wild. It's beautiful. I can't wait.
It's so sick. We have a playtest coming up in a couple of next Friday is our first playtest, and it's gonna rule.
Wee.
Awesome.
Jam just finished like prototyping Hack of What Waits Beneath.
It's called Who Waits Within.
It's very spooky.
Ooh.
It kind of gives me like lyrical creepypasta vibes.
Okay.
And it's very
It's pretty
cool.
Creepy.
Nice.
It's just in time for spooky season. We have a little liminal horror jam project.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
It's almost done.
The Museum of Mesmeric Arts.
Yes.
It's a dungeon crawl printed on it's postcards for a fake, creepy liminal museum.
Okay.
Like an art museum.
Uh-huh.
And on the back side of every postcard is a portion of a dungeon crawl.
Okay.
And you have to puzzle piece them together.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's extremely sick.
It's fun. I love it.
It's so fun. Jam, we like sat down and like had a little idea. It was like, we should do something simple for this. What if we do some postcards? Cool, we'll do some postcards.
Oh, but what if we put a map?
What if
we break up the map and make these pieces of a map?
And what if these pieces? It started with what if these pieces of a map have just like some little narrative things that give people guidance? And Jam was like, hold my beer. What if we make it a Mad Lib? It's so sick. It's so cool. I cannot wait for it to exist and for people to get their hands on it. One of the coolest small projects we've done, I think.
Yes, I'm ready. Maybe next week, maybe the week after. We'll see.
Super, super cool.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
We just released Ghost Boy, which is a little trifold game about a sad ghost. It's very good. I love that game. Jam, once again, knocked out of the park on layout. just a lot of stuff. I could spend the rest of this call listing the things that we have in the pipeline.
Well, that's kind of an interesting, that kind of makes me want to ask an interesting, like, work related question, which is like, what's your narrowing process, right? Like, how do you what do they say, kill your sweethearts or whatever it is, whatever the phrases people use for that, like
kill your darlings.
That's it. That's the one. Thank you. Sweethearts isn't the right word. It's darlings. Yes, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your process look like for the two of you? Like, how do you decide we're going to chase this idea, not this idea?
We have a long list of ideas.
Or maybe you don't. Maybe they all just go into one big list, and then maybe you get to the ones you get to.
You just wanted it.
It is kind of like we get to the ones we get to.
It's just when inspiration strikes, and one of us like goes into that like creative frenzy mode where you're typing until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And then that's the next game we focus on.
Yeah.
That is kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Once we get a big push, it's like, all right, we're getting close.
I guess we're doing this one. I guess this is the one we're doing next. We've got some projects that we both really, really want to pursue, but like, we know that they have legs, and we know that they're very cool projects, like stand-ins for the apocalypse. Which is just, sometimes a project is hard to write for, even if you really, really want to do it. So you do other things first. And I guess it's less about actively killing our darlings and more about letting them atrophy. It's still on the list. I still really want to work on it, but we're making progress on these other things. So we'll get to this when we get to it.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I had Vince Baker on the show, he was talking about how, like, he'll have a lot of ideas, but it's the ones he can't stop thinking about that he waits till that happens where, like, he can't let it go, and then that's when he's like, okay, that's the project I'm going to work on now because I can't stop.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's that's it. That's the vibe for sure.
Yeah. And you mentioned playtesting, so I was also going to ask, like, what your playtesting process looks like. Are you guys local playtesters? Is it online? Like, how do you tend to handle playtesting games?
I usually take the lead with figuring out how to set up a playtest and, like, what should be playtested versus what we kind of just want to or what doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Because not every game needs playtesting. This is my hot design take. That's my second hot take tonight.
I welcome them.
Not everything needs to be playtested. We will often playtest our things together. If it's something that can be played with two people, we will playtest it together.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I have some local friends that'll bug every now and then to meet up for a playtest. Or, there's always a tried and true just doing it online.
Yeah. Yeah, I was baked into the question, curious how often the two of you play test stuff together, like you said. And it kind of probably depends on the kind of game, right? Not everything can be kind of play tested.
Yeah.
Exactly with two people.
I don't think it's with, like, any kind of, like, scheduled regularity.
Sure.
No, it's just, hey, you got 4 hours? Let's do this.
Yeah, like, hey, you wanna play a weird game this Saturday? Let's do it.
In this game.
Yeah, let's try and break it.
Yeah.
It happens when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, another thing I think is really interesting. I have, like, a lot of different. I don't know if it was a lot. Maybe it's not the right way to say it, but I have questions about, like, work-life balance with being married and working together because I do think that's really interesting. It's something that really interests me a lot, just because I'm married, right? And my vocation is weird in that, like, my as a priest, like, my daily vocation is weird because Mel and I have done work together on games. Like, Mel did she did the copy editing for the Ashcan edition of Broken. She wrote a scenario for that game, and I could see if I design more games in the future, I could see us working together more intimately. But even as, like, a priest, right, like, it's not her job, but she goes to the church. It's kind of a weird. If you're not in the church world, it's a weird thing to talk about. But like so I'm just genuinely curious about like being married and working together and how those things balance. And one of the questions I have about that is like playing versus like working. And I was just curious, like how often do you get to like play together? Do you separate that out? Is it not something separate in your minds? Like the work you're doing is a play activity, so you don't need to like make intentional time for like playing games as opposed to, oh, now we're working on games, now we're play testing games, now we're designing. Like what does that look like for your particular, relationship and working relationship?
One of the first things that we did.
It is not easy.
It is not easy. Full
Okay.
stop.
We had
It's
to
definitely
learn
not easy.
and
Yeah.
get to this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the first things that we did that helped was we figured out a schedule for work. So essentially, every Saturday, we'll wake up, we'll make breakfast, and then after we eat together, we'll sit down and we'll go through our work-related tasks for the week.
We have one co-working day, and we
Minimum.
work through it, and that's our day, and then it's off. And during the week, we're focused on our own projects or our own parts of a project.
We'll touch base, and if we need to, like during the week, we'll be like, hey, can we like Thursday or Wednesday night, can we sit together and talk about this project or this email, or can we set some time outside of co-working to play test something or whatever. As far as play goes, we have our local friend group who we meet up with every now and then, and that's strictly play. Unless I back them into a corner and say, you're play testing this with
That's
me.
what I was going to ask. Do you ever get to the play test? Because then it kind of blurs the lines a little bit.
I think one of the first things this is a deep cut. The first RPG project that I was working on was called The World of the Weird. And I bullied these friends into playtesting, and it did not go well. The game did not go over great. It was a bad game. But yes, aside from that, we have gotten them to play a couple of things that we're working on, or even just to talk about some homebrew stuff. But for the most part, we either just hang out, or we play board games, or we play Blades. Specifically Blades, that's what we're playing right now.
Gotcha.
Then, outside of that, just for Jam and I, we play a lot of video games together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Big into Destiny right now.
Yes, we're playing a lot of Destiny.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you what games you love to play together.
We'll play Destiny together. We've also got like some local or single player games that we kind of play through. The trick is to not have it be a ttrpg that we're playing to relax with, because we will just think about design the whole time.
That's what I was wondering, because I don't know how you wouldn't, right? Like I do it, but it's just in my own head. So if I'm like, I run a game club at church and we play ttrpgs all the time, and of course that's what I'm thinking about while we're playing them, but that's just in my own head. But if I was doing it with another person and we were both designing together as a job, I don't know how we wouldn't just end up talking about it. It'd just be so natural.
There's definitely, I mean, that's still play, right?
It is.
But it is, it's all about the balance. It's all about the balance.
Yeah. I'm always writing down notes, though.
Oh, constantly.
Like, if I have a semblance of an idea, I just put it down somewhere so I can come back to it. But pretty often, we'll see something and be like, that's a game. That's a game right there.
Yeah.
Or there's a mechanic.
We were on vacation, and we were looking into the pantries to figure out what to make for dinner. And she pulled down a box of like shake and bake, and was like, maybe we can make a game out of this.
I bet we can make a stat block out of the nutrition label.
And then
Let's go.
So on our list is just like a one pager. I think the line is one pager where you make a character using an ingredients list.
Yep.
It's nonstop.
And we were on vacation. We were supposed to be off.
We were supposed to be off.
You know.
We weren't.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's also what vacation is for too, right? Like the best ideas I have come from my time away, or probably while my time away. I was just talking about this with somebody who I had some really good ideas for something, and I was running them by her, and she said, "Did you have these ideas in the shower?" Which I thought was such a weird question, but it was exactly where I had the ideas. So I had to just be honest and be like, yeah, I wasn't going to tell you that part, but that is exactly where I had these ideas. It just all came to me in the shower. It's like the vacation, it's like the shower. It's like the larger version of the shower, right? Like that's where your ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that, but it's kind of like, yeah.
I feel like there have been studies on this, or at least I've read somewhere that there were studies on this. But
Yeah.
Or I'm making this up. I don't know. Someone prove me wrong. But there's something about the nature of what being in a shower does to your brain, because there's not a lot of outside influence. Ideally, there's not a lot of outside influence when you're in the shower, unless that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, or you have kids, which I do, but hopefully, ideally, there's not outside influence. Yeah.
So your brain is just able to do whatever. And sometimes that's singing, sometimes that's coming up with bad jokes that you're never going to tell anybody, and other times it's having ideas. A vacation is kind of similar to that.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, like, do you feel like you need to have boundaries, or do you think it's better to let it be free form?
I mean, I know that we both kind of work in free form. I think outside of having a dedicated work day, we don't really have too many boundaries on it.
Probably need more.
We probably do.
It's kind of fun to just not.
What we do isn't going to work for everybody.
Right.
I think that's kind of what it comes down to, is your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
The way that you work, either with yourself or with your friends or with your partner, is probably going to be different than the way that we work.
Yeah.
If you need boundaries, make those boundaries. I mean, I do know that there are nights when I'm like, I'm just going to go do my own thing, or I'm going to work on a game, or I need you to not talk to me about games. And Jam has the same things for me.
Oh, yeah?
So it's probably ad hoc boundaries is how I would describe it. We put them up when we need them.
Yeah. Yeah, Jam, you said you think maybe you need more. What makes you think that might be the case, that you might need more?
Just sometimes, you get really, really, really excited about a project, and you just want to go and go and go and go and go. But, sometimes you got to be better at pumping the brakes and don't burn out.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I can relate to that, because
I think a lot of creatives can relate to that.
Anyone who's in a creative field can definitely know that. I mean, I can count on one hand the number of people who I met when I started doing YouTube who are still doing YouTube. And that's maybe like 10 years.
Yeah.
Creative fields are difficult. And when you get into something that... Because the way it starts is like, if you get invested in a creative field, it's because you are interested in a thing. You are passionate about it. You want to do something with this energy. And we are not necessarily taught how to practice safe creativity, I guess. School doesn't teach you how to schedule and how to block out time and how to avoid or handle burnout. It's not a life skill that we're taught. Most people learn it the hard way by writing down a video script and realizing that they don't want to fucking do it. And then they don't upload for 3 years. Not a personal experience.
Well, I was going to ask, have the two of you experienced, do you have personal experiences with burnout? And if not, or even if you do, what are like your own ways of trying to avoid having the burnout stuff?
We both absolutely have dealt with it.
Here and there, I still do.
You still do?
I still do too.
It's just one of those things I think everyone is learning and managing and working on, and over time you get better at it. Usually for me, it's actually just forcing myself to work on something else, to just totally change. If I'm working on something spooky, if I switch to a project that's totally opposite, it helps like refresh and re-clear. And I still feel like I'm creating, and creating makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's the other thing about burnout too, is like a lot of the times when you're creative field, or I mean in general as a human being, I was trying so hard to not say capitalism tonight, but capitalism breeds in us the ideal that if you are not producing something, your value is lower.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that kind of leads to burnout as well. And I know this isn't exactly what you were saying, but it reminded me of it. That like a lot of the times creatives, they start approaching burnout, but you can't stop, because if you're not making something, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And that either means you keep pushing through and you are unhappy with it, or you shift gears and you continue to satisfy that itch without, but you're reinvigorated on it.
And I had to learn that that's what works for me. I'm sure
not necessarily true for everybody at all. Like for me, when I start getting burnt out, I just have to not look at a Word doc for like a week or two.
Sure.
I play video games a lot, and I do everything I can to just like totally reset, and then I reapproach.
That's really interesting, because sometimes when I like get into the mindset where I'm struggling to do anything, like I'm struggling to feel like I have the motivation to work on just about any projects, no matter whether it's like I'm working for church, I'm doing design or something with ttrpgs, or I'm prepping a show like that, whatever, and I'm struggling to work on whatever it is, I'll find myself playing a video game. Like right now I'm playing Fallout 76, and like that's like my lunchtime game, but it'd be really easy for me to like, like the lunchtime game crept into the afternoon, crept into long. But maybe it sounds like, and again, I know there's the caveats that you've given that everyone's process is different. But I'm wondering, based on what you just said, like, well, maybe that's actually all part of the process. Maybe it's not a bad thing to like, go ahead. Yeah.
One of my personal beliefs. Oh my God, I had the exact way to say this and I lost it.
Oh no.
It was right there.
You chase the carrot, right?
Yeah.
You chase the carrot on the stick.
Yeah.
Because the carrot on the stick is very clearly what you want. I very firmly believe that like our body and our minds actively and subconsciously tell us what we need. And if your gut is telling you you should play Fallout 76 for 12 hours, maybe don't play it for 12 hours, but it's pointing you to the things that it thinks are going to help recharge you. Like with everything, moderation and self-control and knowing, figuring out when that line is crossed, right? I'm not saying play video games for 48 hours without eating. What I'm saying is your body and your mind are going to point you towards something interesting. Usually. Everybody's process is different. God, I had more, but I lost it. I lost the carrot. It's gone.
Yeah, I don't know, Jam. Is that how it works for you, basically, too? Do you feel like?
It's a resounding, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. I feel like so long. How should I say? I want to use the word consume. I feel, a lot of my ideas and my creativity, it all comes from somewhere. And if I'm not doing any healthy consuming, I end up kind of stuck in a zone.
Yeah.
I stopped thinking of like new things.
Yeah.
So going and working on a different project, or I love to watch old janky animation films or documentaries and just see and consume new things. And that's how I kind of see my creative juices. I feel like a filter, I guess.
That's definitely true too. Like, yeah. As long as you're a creative field like
That's
this
me. That's how I work.
is heavily inspired by the things that we're watching.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like we were saying earlier when we were on vacation. We got an idea from a shake and bake box.
Right.
I do also want to just add real quick onto what I was saying earlier. Within healthy limitations.
Yeah.
on the following your brain, right?
Yeah.
It's about if you're tired of something, your body's gonna let you know. Is I think a better way to put what I was.
No, that's a good point, because obviously, like, you can have some pretty bad instincts also, right? Like,
everyone has terrible instincts. We all have intrusive thoughts,
right?
And it's very easy to slip into something that's unhealthy,
Right.
So it's less about following where your gut is telling you to go, more about, I guess, it's gonna tell you if you need to avoid something.
Yeah.
That's probably the better way to put it.
Yeah, that's a good point, because, like, especially when you're dealing with burnout, like if you're truly dealing with burnout, like really burning out, like you might have instincts telling you to do very unhealthy things, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, and knowing how to trust. But also I do. So I think there's a truth to what you said too, though. Like, yeah, like sometimes playing video games for the next 6 hours, right? Like, because that's what your instincts are telling you to do. Even if it means canceling some meetings, even if it means setting aside some work you were going to get done. Like, that might be good. That might be a great instinct. It could also be an unhealthy one. It's really hard to know when it's the good instinct or the unhealthy instinct.
Yeah, definitely.
Not sure.
People call them self-care days. It's a self-care day, right?
Yeah.
It's like I'm exhausted. I need a day where I click on heads from sun up to sundown, or where I watch movies all day, where I consume new media.
Healthy consuming.
Healthy consumption. Of media. I mean, that includes video games and stuff. That includes books. That includes comics.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying, this kind of a creative field is heavily inspired by the things we consume.
But the temptation there, though, right, is what you were saying about capitalism before, to evoke the C word again, which is also where I think there's a temptation too of like having to feel like, okay, well, now I gotta justify my consuming as also going to have something, like I'm going to get some work out of it, or I'm going to like, it is also so that it's also so I could be creative, so I could do something productive that's going to like make money or whatever. I do think that's like a danger to that, right? Like I've told myself that, like, oh, it's okay if I watch this because I'll be inspired by it or something.
This is research.
Yeah, research.
I'm watching Mad Max Fury Road for the 12th time this month because it's research.
Exactly.
And because Tom Hardy's hot. It's fine.
Right,
Just
it's
do
fine.
It.
So, yeah, I guess if maybe both is fine. Sometimes it's probably good to watch it just because Tom Hardy's hot. Right? Not because you're researching anything, right?
Let's be honest, that's the main reason, all right? I'm not gonna lie here on the internet.
Can't lie on the internet.
You're not allowed to lie. You think someone
internet.
would just do that?
No.
Go on the internet and tell lies?
No.
Unbelievable. But no, yeah, you're definitely right. Like it's all, everything is about a balance. Work is about a balance. Working together is about balance. Being creative is about balance. Doing nothing is about balance.
Yeah.
If you're not balancing your stuff, you're gonna get weird. Which is the most philosophical thing I've ever said.
Weird.
And it really does. So much of the nature of the issues does come back to the way that capitalism ingrains these needs to produce, capital P, produce things.
Yeah.
It just comes down to it. somewhere Keegan is sneezing because I'm talking about capitalism.
I've got my bingo card. Like, I marked it off.
Capitalism is like 4 different slots on the bingo card.
And the free spot in the middle.
I was working on an idea. This idea has been giving me a lot of trouble, and I've like revised it a few times. Neon dust. And I did a revision of it, and I was like, oh my god, I got it. It's going to be like a kind of cyberpunk thing. And I went to tell my buddy Keegan about it. And they just replied, oh, wow, Nevyn's making a game where the bad guy is capitalism? Watch out.
So is that by the way, before we went on the live on the show, we were talking about my free Discord cyberpunk background that I'm fading into here. And you mentioned a cyberpunk project. Is that the one? Is that the cyberpunk project?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I actually don't define neon dust as cyberpunk. I describe it as grease punk.
Okay.
Dirt punk.
Okay.
Nasty anachronistic shit punk.
Okay.
The cyberpunk project is Warriors.
Oh, that is Warriors. Okay.
I would consider that cyberpunk fully.
Okay. Cool. Let's see. Do I have any good final questions? I mean, I usually ask people what I've already asked you all, which is like what you're working on next. We already talked about that in length.
We did talk about that next.
Yeah.
I mean, not to bury the lead here, but did you have any questions about Gunnslinger?
Oh yeah, we never did talk about it again, did we?
It could just be a running bit where just don't talk about it.
It's not, because the funny thing is I didn't like prep specific questions about it. That's the thing. It's just like it is kind of a bit. You know what? I here's what I'm gonna say on the air, since no one's gonna be able to hold me to this, because the fact that who knows when this show will ever exist again after tonight. But I have a Saturday Night Game Club, as I mentioned on here. I really want to bring more indie games to it. That is one of the games I would like to bring to it. So
do it.
You know, so there you go. I'm gonna make a commitment to do that, but like I said, nobody can hold me to it, accountable to it, because I don't even think Blaine is watching right now, and he's the only person that could hold me accountable to it, and so I'm safe there. But no, I don't have any specific questions about it. I just, I mean, I could ask if I'm trying to think of. Okay, let's see.
You can just ask me how cool I think it is.
That's a great question, Nevyn. How cool do you think it is? The game that you made.
I think it's. I completely unbiased opinion here. I think it's cool as hell. I think it's super sick. Totally rad game. Everyone should buy it.
Yeah.
It's award winning.
It is award winning.
Where's the award?
It's right here.
Part of the ongoing,
the award.
The award. I saw the picture of it.
It's so sick.
Well, the reason why I was really hyped to ask about it last time, and then we didn't end up talking about it, is because I am a huge fan of the Dark Tower. The Gunslinger is one of my favorite books. I just adore that book series to death. So, that was, the motivation. And then we never talked about it last time when I was, all amped up to talk about it. But we talked about lots of cool stuff last time. And this time. But, yeah, people should check it out. And I love games that are 2 to 3 players. By the way, what does that look like for... Here's a good question. What does that look like for Gunslinger specifically, the 2 to 3 player aspect of that? What's the difference between playing it 2-player versus 3-player?
So, 3-player, one of the players takes on the specific role of the maestro, who is essentially the facilitator of the game. I hesitate to call it a GM role, because that has connotations to it that I don't think Gunslinger needs. But suffice to say, the 3rd player in Gunslinger is the maestro, and they take on the role of the challenges and the twist and the NPCs and the world itself. With 2 players, a lot of the responsibilities of the maestro kind of just get delegated to the players, or there are systematic and mechanical ways to make them happen. So where the maestro would say, I'm giving you a challenge here because that sounds like a challenge, here is its value. In a 2-player game without the maestro, the players would be talking and open role playing and describing what they're doing, and then one of them would say, I think this is a challenge, and they flip over cards from the deck to figure out how difficult that challenge is. It's a little more random, but it also takes the onus off of a third player.
Yeah. Where did the idea of like, okay, I want to design a game where like with the idea of a sentient weapon, like what exactly inspired this, like you wanting to write a game with that very niche thing in mind? Like, 'cause it's such a cool, I think it's such a fucking awesome idea, and I'm just curious like where that, well, you talked a lot about inspiration on the show, so like what was the inspiration for that?
So Jam's smiling because she knows this story because I tell it a lot and I love to tell it.
Oh, good. I love that.
So there's the AI text machine Talk to Transformer. You put in a list of text and it neural networks it and spits out another thing of text. And someone essentially created a game jam that was, hey, put in a list of your games that you've created or are working on and have it spit out another list. That list is going to include the next game you work on. And one of them that came out for me was Your Gun is a Gunslinger. That gave me the idea of like, okay, this should be a versus game about a Wild West gunslinger fighting their gun and the people that the gun killed. And it was going to be like, I just decided that it was going to be card-based because, oh, Wild West, they're always playing poker in those. I should use cards. This works. This is thematic. And I started playing with it, and I was like, I should use Go Fish. Oh no. This is a great idea for an actual full-on RPG. Oh, shit. And so I just ran with it. It truly a game born of a shitpost.
That's so funny. I just think it's such a cool concept to like center the game around like a person and their sentient weapon. It's just such a fucking badass. Love it.
What I really like is that, like, as much as this game is born from just like a goofy idea, as I wrote it and as it has like existed in the world, it actually ended up being like a much more intimate storytelling device than I originally thought it was going to be. Because when you're playing this game, I mean, it's a small player count, especially if you're just playing with 2 players. Yeah. There's something very interesting about the relationship of taking and giving cards too, and just about telling a story that's about 2 people. It's actually about a lot of different things. It's very, very touching and very close to my heart because of how it's evolved.
Is that what made you want to turn into an SRD?
No, I had just decided that it was going to be one.
Fair enough.
I always wanted to write an SRD, and people were talking about how much they really liked this game and wanted to write stuff hacked off of it. So I said, okay, give me enough money and I'll make an SRD.
And I haven't done this part of it. I didn't do prep for, but are there a number of games? Like, I don't even know what games are out there marked and made. That exist.
There is at least one by Ben R. It's called Stranger and Danger, and you can actually find print copies of it on Dinoberry Press.
Right, I did see that on there. Yeah, cool, very cool. Yeah, no, it's just I think it's really interesting to take a game and then say like, you know, I want to birth this into an SRD. Like that's such a, I don't know, that's a whole nother discussion, really.
It was a really fun process.
It was. There's also my hack.
Oh yeah, Jam's hack too.
Butt and Head.
Where
2 players play as a centaur. So one's the head part, the other person's the butt part.
Oh hell yeah, and this is awesome.
You go on like a fun little adventure together.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, is that a game I feel like my kids would adore that game. Like,
you know what? Yeah. There are fart mechanics.
Oh my god, best. You wrote the game for my son. Oh my gosh.
Magical farts.
I now have to get this game, but can I buy this game on Dinoberrypress.com? Like, or not?
You can find it on Itch.
On Itch?
Yeah, yes. It's on Jam's Itch right now.
Yeah.
We are in talks with someone about handling a print run.
Yeah.
I cannot say more than that right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, well, no, I mean, if I tell my son, who's 6, what you just said. Like, if there are fart mechanics, will change his life forever. This will be his indie TTRPG origin story in like 20 years, right? Like when he's like telling somebody,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
was the butt half of a centaur,
and I farted on a dude. It was great. More games should have fart mechanics.
Yes.
That's my
third hot take. Yeah.
I could. I mean, before we go, I could mention like the name of the thing for next year.
That's up to you.
Okay, I guess that's up to me. So the thing that we're
I'm so excited. So excited.
The thing that we're crowdfunding early next year is something that I've mentioned in a few places, kind of sparingly.
Yeah.
It is a sci-fi horror inspired TTRPG called You're in Space and Everything's Fucked.
Okay.
It is right now it's a 2-player game.
Okay.
I might work on some ways I have plans to make it playable for more. But we are going to be crowdfunding that somewhere around Q1, Q2 next year.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It is a 2-book project. I actually did a lot of the art in it, which was very fun.
Nice.
Jam did all of the layout and did a fantastic job. Edited by Tyler Cromrine.
Yeah.
The game kicks ass.
Yeah.
It's very good.
That sounds awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you for sharing the name of it and about the project here. But You're in Space and Everything's Fucked is such a fabulous name for a game.
Isn't it?
It is. It's brilliant.
It's so good.
It is.
It's fun.
Because it tells you so much, Justin. It's both like attention. Exactly.
It's the game. What are we going to play tonight? You're in Space and Everything's Fucked. A word? All right.
That's awesome. Cool. So we can look forward to that, and as you said, Q1, Q2 next year.
Yeah, somewhere in there. We're still hammering down a date.
We'll see.
It'll happen.
It does sound. Well, I guess that's not that. We're already in September, so almost October. So that's not that long from now. But I was gonna say, it sounds like you're pretty far along in the process, though.
We are pretty far along.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's just a few more things that we need, and then we'll be able to get it to print.
Awesome. I'm really excited about everything y'all are doing. I really am. Folks, as we said before, go to Dinoberrypress.com. I guess the last thing will be tell people where to find both the press and each of you online. Where can people find you? How can people keep up with what's going on? Anything else you want to plug?
Sure, yeah. I'll go first. Hi, I have been Nevyn. I use they, he pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at Fork20. You can find our joint venture stuff at Dinoberry Press. You can go to dinoberrypress.com for all of the cool stuff that we do and sell, including, Gun and Slinger, a number of other things, and Stranger in Danger by Ben R. And you can find links to all of our itch and stuff on there. Jam, what about you?
On Twitter, I'm at Dinoberry Jam. That's me.
Awesome.
Perfect.
And I saw that there is a newsletter right from the website. If people go to dinoberrypress.com, they can sign up for it. I did it during the show, so that's how I know it's there.
Yes, just scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Yes.
You'll find
Cool.
Sign up for a newsletter.
Awesome. Well, thank you both very much for coming on the show and coming to Holy Happy Hour.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. It's always a blast.
Yeah, definitely. I would say we'll have you on again, but I can't make that promise right now. But
I understand.
It's an honor to be on the sign-off show.
Yeah, right? Okay, well, I'm glad you feel that way. Thank you. Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I'm going to ask Jam and Nevyn to hang around here in my digital green room, so to speak, aka just our call that we're on. And I'm going to switch back you all to just me so I can send you off here at the end of the show. If I remember how to do that. There it is. Boom. Now I'm weirdly in the corner again, so I have to figure out, okay, where do I need to go? Sorry for the overlay being a little wonky. Things change here on the letters. Every week I've done the show for the last year and a half. One thing in the technical side of the show has been off or wrong or glitched or whatever. So, why would it be any different tonight? It wouldn't be. But huge thanks again to Jam and Nevyn for coming on the show, being our last guests on Holy Happy Hour before our perpetual hiatus. If you missed that announcement at the start of the show, well, there you go. I just said it. We're going to go on perpetual hiatus here on Holy Happy Hour. I don't know when that's going to lift, if ever, or what format the show will take in the future. But for a lot of reasons, the show is going to be taking a perhaps permanent break. I don't know. We will see kind of where it goes. But for the time being, no future episodes. You can catch all the old episodes at allportsopen.com or on the YouTube channel. Definitely still consider going and subscribing to the YouTube channel. There's lots of great episodes. Like there's the episode that Tyler and Nevyn were on last time. If you missed that, you can watch that in its entirety there on YouTube, or any of our great past episodes. There's just a lot of really fun guests for you to go back and look at. So I just kind of went off of my script, so I lost track of what I was saying. But I want to thank you all again for watching tonight. Thanks for watching every week the show's been on for the last year and a half. It really means a lot to me, like more than I could possibly tell you all for watching. My immense and sincere thanks to all of the guests that have come on the show in the last year and a half. Doing this show has been just a tremendous experience. All the opportunities to talk to great designers, all the really interesting conversations I've got to have, like tonight where we talked about sort of process and burnout and all that stuff. Like I know everyone's process is like different to them, but I really do believe that there's takeaways for all of us that we can implement into our own lives, whether we're TTRPG designers or fans, or whether we do something completely different in our day-to-day lives. I really do think there's a lot to learn from each other as people working in this stuff. So I'm just very grateful for all these conversations I've gotten to have here in my very, very tiny microscopic corner of the indie TTRPG industry here. If you only caught part of tonight's show, as I said, you'll be able to watch it for a brief time on Twitch. It's not streaming to YouTube right now, and that's OBS's fault. But I'm not going to take the blame for that one. But you will be able to watch it tomorrow or the next day. It'll be, if you follow me on Twitter, I'll post a thread when the whole thing is up, and you'll be able to watch it on YouTube once it goes live. Once again, huge thanks to Joshua Wise for the artwork here on the stream, for supporting the show for the last year and a half, for building the All Ports Open network, hosting all these episodes on the website there, allportsopen.com. And I deeply appreciate Josh's partnership as my partner in APON and APON Games over the last 5 years that I was a partner there. And I'm very grateful. I didn't say this at the top of the show because I got distracted by my own bullshit, but huge thanks to Dr. Octorok for the use of his music on the show. Dr. Octorok has a new Kickstarter. I would be so remiss if I didn't tell you all about it. He has a Kickstarter right now. He does the chiptune music you'll hear in just a second when we send this show off. And he does chiptune covers on vinyl, and they're incredible projects. And this one is called Sea Change because it's a tribute to the Beck album Sea Change, but it's written out like C:\/ change, like a hard drive. A tribute to Beck, and it's awesome. It's such a fabulous vinyl project. He makes the chiptune music on hardwired NES and Game Boy together, then he then runs through a sound system, and that project is 28 days to go on Kickstarter and is like $6,000 of the $8,000 goal, so it's well on its way. I'm a huge fan of everything he does. His last project was my favorite album of all time, which is the Flaming Lips cover. He just did that. That vinyl project is so cool. I'll link that in the show notes and in the chat so you all can check it out if that at all interests you. But it's just such a cool project. And my friend Levi who's Dr. Octorok, has let me use his music as the theme music on the show for the last year and a half out of the kindness of his heart. So I'd be remiss if I didn't plug that project here on this last episode that we're doing. So thank you all again for watching. I am Ben, that gamer priest. Have the holiest and happiest of hours, my friends. Until I see you again here or elsewhere, cheers to you all. And I hope everyone is well. Cheers and blessings.